Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe right now and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This is the fourth video in the series called Markdown tutorial, and in this video we'll be learning about additional formatting techniques in Markdown. Okay, so just a bit of recap. To create or edit a Markdown file is an extension of MD, such as this one. And it can be created or edited using any kind of text editor like Notepad. In my case, I'll be using Notepad++. Okay, so it can also be viewed using, in this case, we'll be learning how to work on Markdown, viewing it using your Chrome browser. Okay, so if I wanted to view, I'll just open this, double click this file, and it will open using the browser. If you haven't heard of Markdown, I suggest you go to the very first video of this tutorial series so you can know how you will learn how to set up your environment. Okay, otherwise, let's jump on with it. Okay, so this is additional formatting or other formatting. So what is that? To edit the Markdown file, you just right click on it, and then you can click your text editor. In my case, it's Notepad++. Okay, so we'll be learning about additional formatting. Let's start with the one called block quotes. So what are block quotes? So if you wanted to draw the reader's attention to some sentence or words or phrase that are quoted from someone or from a book, you can use block quotes. To create a block quote, just begin a line with the greater than or character. I'll show you an example. Okay, so in this case, here you will not get a full appreciation because you haven't seen the view, how it would look in MD, in Markdown, but you will get to it in a while. So block quote, if to make a block quote, again, the purpose is if you wanted to get the reader's attention to something that you have quoted from a book or from someone, then you use block quotes. And it's very frequently used in documentations, even any kind of documentation. So the character you will use is the caret, this one. No, not caret, not caret. This is called the greater than character. Okay, and then so after you begin your line with that, and that will be good enough. Okay, so it can be a long line, and you just begin the line with a greater than character, and that's it. When I save this and then I go to my browser, then I will refresh. So you will see. Okay, so the first line is what I'm trying to say, and below that, with some special shade of gray here, it's like giving you an idea this was taken from a book. So this is a block quote. So the saying two heads are better than one was actually taken from Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verses 9 to 12. And below it is the one I quoted from the book, the good book in this case. Okay. So what else can you do with this? Then you can still apply whatever you have learned in the previous videos of this tutorial series, such as doing some basic formatting like bold, italics, what have you. So you can also add bold. Let's just say you wanted the word better to stand out, then you can surround it with double asterisk on either side, and then save your changes. You go to your browser and then refresh. Sure enough, the word better is now set in bold. Okay, so you can play around and start learning and applying what you have learned in my previous videos of this series. Okay, so that's block quotes for you. The next thing we'll be learning are paragraphs. If you notice in our previous videos, we were just doing straightforward text, but paragraphs is one that has not really missed, but really to be taken up this time. So in a paragraph, you want to keep lines of text together as in a paragraph. That's what I mean. So let's just see what happens when we just write text in multiple lines. Okay. Okay, so if you haven't kept track of the lessons, the single hash means is this a H1 heading, the biggest font size available. 2 hashes is H2 heading, slightly smaller than the H1. Okay, so in the paragraphs, the first scenario I'll be showing you is that we have multiple lines of text here. Here's the first sentence, see what happens to the next and the next. So I have 3 lines of text that I wanted you to look at. I will save my changes and then jump into the browser, and then you will see. So you see, this will result to a single line. If you look at my raw text, it's actually composed of 3 lines. But when you view it, they all appear as one continuous long line. This is the first sentence, see what happens to the next and the next. Here, 3 lines, here, 1 line. So nothing, this is not a bug, but it's just the way Markdown works. So you'll have to do something to fix this. Now, let's just say you wanted to fix this by simply entering or pressing the enter key. Let's try that. So I've added this. If you press the enter key to add an extra line or space to force this to go to the second line, to force this to go to the third line. And so we said, let's just press enter and give it a nudge, if you will. Then let's try that. I've added blank spaces, blank lines in between them, and then save my changes, and then I'll refresh my browser again. So what happens is it did exactly that. It now looks exactly the same as what you have in your raw text, which is in which there is a blank line or blank space in between the lines, which is not what you wanted to have in the first place, right? So this is not the way to fix this. In Markdown, to the equivalent of entering or forcing letters to go to the next line is to add 2 spaces with your spacebar at the end of the line. So meaning, okay, let's add another one. So to fix that, we will add, okay, to fix this, add 2 spaces at the end of each line. So meaning here, if this is the first line, I have added 2 spaces with my spacebar. Here also, 2 spaces. Here, no need because there's nothing that follows. Okay, 2 spaces at the end of each line, wherein you wanted to have the equivalent of pressing the enter key. And then you save, go to your browser and refresh. Now let's look at it. So yeah, to fix this, add 2 spaces at the end of each line. So say it works. So the first time we did it, although it was written in 3 separate lines, they appeared in Markdown as one continuous long sentence or line. Next, we tried pressing the enter key, forcing it to obey us somehow, but it's overdone. It created that ugly space or line between the lines of text that we have. It's not what we wanted. So to fix, you add 2 spaces at the end of each line. Okay, so that is paragraphs, meaning if you wanted to keep your sentences together as a paragraph, you do this trick. You add 2 spaces at the end of each line. And then when you really need a new paragraph, then that's when you press your enter key. Okay. So we've learned about block quotes, and then we've learned about making paragraphs or keeping the sentences together in one paragraph also. Okay, the next we'll be learning is something related to IT. Program code. Okay, sometimes in our documentation, we wanted to show program code, source code as part of the documentation. So what we do is we enclose We enclose program code in backquotes, sometimes called backticks, or by simply using the tab, pressing the tab character that can also be accomplished. So let's look at the first example using the backquote. So again, single hash, that's H1 heading, double hash, that's H2 heading. So the first one you'll be looking at is the use of backticks, sometimes called backquotes. It looks like a single quote, but it is slightly more slanted. Okay, just this one and this one. So I'm enclosing the whole thing that I wanted to be presented in an obvious manner that it will look like a program code. It's like you're looking at a terminal and a monitor. So this, everything inside the backticks will be presented or be shown like a program text, program code. Okay, so I don't know how clear it is from your end, but you can see a slight shade of gray as a backdrop to the program code. This is an Oracle PLSQL very short code. Variable declaration, update, this is data type, and this is what you are equating it to or assigning that value to this variable. Okay, so that's another way of presenting program code in Markdown is by using the tab character. I'll go back to the Markdown code in the text editor and then do this. So again, there's a H2 heading, 2 hashes. And then here, I did not choose backquotes or backticks. What I did was just use the tab. You can experiment using the space, but I would suggest using the tab. So a tab here and another tab here, just for also the indentation, which is gives visibility, gives readability to program code. That's very natural in the IT world. So I have put that there. I didn't choose backquotes. I used tabs in this case. So I just save my changes and then go to my browser again and then refresh. And then here you go. So here was your H2 heading. I used double hashes. And then after that was the program code. It is shown in a rectangular area of light gray backdrop. And on it, you have the source code. Okay, so in this short video, we have learned some additional formatting techniques in Markdown, namely backquotes. When you want to quote something from someone or from a book, you can use that. Paragraphs, how to keep your sentences or lines of text together in one group like this, like a, not like, but as a paragraph or looks like a paragraph. And finally, how to put program code in your documentation to make it look different from the rest of the text. Okay, there you go. And I hope you've learned something new. If you haven't subscribed yet, I do suggest you click subscribe, click the bell, spread the word. And thank you for watching. And thank you for listening. See you in the next video.